Hey, it's Jack, and this video is called If He's Not Texting You Back, Do This. Actually, while I'm doing this, why don't you do this? Why don't you go ahead, if you haven't, and subscribe to the channel, and then tap that bell notification so you hear of new videos as soon as they come out. My name's Jack Butler. I'm a relationship coach, and I release at least 2 new videos a week on relationships and personal growth. And this is a really vibrant community. I'm overwhelmed in a really positive way by the questions, the quality of comments, and the feedback from this community, and I'd love for you to be part of it. So hit the subscribe button and then tap that bell notification. So let's get into this video. If he's not texting you back, do this. I want to frame this video in the context of the Serenity Prayer, which I know some of you will be aware of. The Serenity Prayer is about doing the things you can, accepting the things that you can't, or that you can't change, and having the wisdom to discern the difference. So it's really about do or don't do, either way, be in acceptance, right? So in this context where a guy hasn't texted you, right, you've got the option of, let that go, and let me just focus on myself, focus on my own life, focus on doing me. If he wants to text me back at some point, he will, and if he doesn't, you kind of have your answer about this guy, right? We know that hot and cold guy, an inconsistent guy, rarely becomes your guy. So if he's inconsistent in his communication and it's relatively early on in dating, that's not a great prognosis, or that's not a great advertisement for who he wants to be with you. Or you have the option that you could just text him back. And if you text him back, I think there's 2 things I want to emphasize for you. The first is, try not to get too heavy with him, right? Guys generally don't like what they consider high maintenance in relationship. So what he doesn't want is you to come back and try and hold him accountable, or be his mother, or tell him he's doing something wrong. Right? You're probably going to get more from him if you can lead with something that's a little bit lighter. Maybe you say, hey, just checking in, want to make sure you didn't fall under a bus, right? So it's sort of like, hey, I'm just acknowledging, you're kind of being out of touch, and I'm kind of making a joke of it. I'm checking that you're okay. But it's not like, why didn't you text me back? Or you should be doing this, or you should be doing that. You get the difference of the tone of that. And the second thing is that you could reveal something that is true for you. Now, this strategy isn't without risk, because you may find out in doing this that maybe this is unrequited. Maybe he doesn't feel the same way. Maybe he doesn't want the same thing. But if you want to lead with your vulnerability, you might say something like, hey, I notice I haven't heard from you, and I would love to hear from you. I miss you, right? Or, hey, how's it going over there? I miss knowing what's going on in your world, right? That might be truer to what's actually going on for you, rather than keeping kind of all your attention over there with him. You're actually bringing it back over here, what we call owning your experience, noticing what's actually going on for you, and leading a little bit with that in the communication. Now, if you don't do that, if you can't live with the fact that it's not going to be reciprocated, right? So there's a little bit of personal edge here. You might have a little bit of a fear of rejection. You might find out, hey, he's still not going to text you back, or he doesn't care that much, or he's still too busy, or whatever the story is of what's actually going on. But at least you're true to yourself. And at a certain point, what we're really trying to encourage, or I'm trying to encourage in this world of more conscious and authentic relationship, is that it's actually okay to sometimes have unrequited love, right? Or it's okay to want to be with someone and they don't want to be with you. It might hurt, it might be painful and frustrating, it might create a lot of longing, but it's kind of like, if that's the true reality, we know we don't want to be in the business of trying to persuade a guy to be with us, right? We want to be in the business of patience and trust that we will know when the right guy comes into our field, and that he actually wants to be with us and he wants the job. So this might be your opportunity to actually focus in more on yourself, on your own soothing your own anxiety, and not needing a text to come back, that text coming back is the thing that has your system relax, right? This might be also offering you a little opportunity to maybe slow your own responsiveness to text, right? Sometimes perhaps you text super fast, and that's actually not always true and authentic to you. Maybe you can let things settle. Maybe you can take your time a little more. Maybe you can create some space for some connection elsewhere, right? You're feeling a bit lonely and you're waiting for that text. Why don't you go call your friend? Why don't you call your mom? Why don't you call someone that you want to create connection with, right? So it's not just in this one bucket, that you're kind of waiting around for things, right? When you find yourself waiting, if we just take this one level deeper, anytime you're waiting, you probably have lost some presence, right? This might be a little strange if you've never come across this, but when you're waiting, it's kind of like you're in anticipation, right? You're in anticipation of a future moment. Even when you're stuck in a traffic jam, there is the opportunity to actually just drop. It's like you'll know when it's ready to go, right? You'll know when the text comes in. Maybe you can drop some anticipation about that. Use this as your spiritual practice to get a little better at not just having every moment be justified by a future moment. Maybe you can learn how to be with this moment and get out of your head and just notice what's going on in your experience. It's like if a friend is late for an appointment with you, you can spend 10 or 15 minutes, every 10 seconds looking, are they here, checking my phone, are they here, or you can have a 15-minute meditation, and then they come and say, hey, sorry I'm late, and you're like, oh, I've just been here in the moment. Now that might be a bit way off if you've never practiced that, but it's actually getting you closer to, I don't have to wait around all the time on someone else's dime and someone else's experience. I can actually just be here in my experience. And my experience might be, oh yeah, it's hard for me to let go that I want this text back, but maybe that's actually deeper practice for me, is to not always be on the end of someone else's chain, that there's a little bit more self-sufficiency and self-soothing. And then when I hear from someone, I can enjoy it. And if that time frame is one that doesn't work for me, yeah, probably not my guy. But I don't actually have to generate so much noise and pain around it. I can actually trust what's happening a little bit more. So I'm curious what you make of that. As always, questions and comments below this video. If you've liked this is a little bit of a deeper take on relationships than you'll find on most relationship channels. Hit the subscribe button, tap the bell notification so that you hear of new videos as soon as they come out. And as always, I'm Jack, and thanks for being here.